Then let's start. 5:30 on the button, even with technical difficulties.
Recording in progress.
Okay, I think that's Mary, but I can't see who else is in the room. So do we have public comment or changes to the agenda?
Well, I think I'm not on the agenda, so can I just make a quick public comment?
Absolutely, you can.
Okay, thank you.
Can you scoot up though so I can hear you better? Thank you, Mary.
So, we did treatment on the knotweed and the multiflora rose out on the side of the parking lot. And I've talked to Alex about this idea that there are a couple of strands of knotweed that are still there, a little bit of multiflora rose, but then what I'd like to do, and it's now pressing because I have a deal on some plants, is put some native plants along there, like well, I wanted to get some nicer shrubs, but just red twig dogwood is available to me, and then that's about all that's available. And then some milkweed. I have some bunch of milkweed plugs that I could buy, and I can pick those up on Thursday. And I've talked to Mark. He wants to push snow there, so the shrubs would be planted behind the boulders. Probably put the milkweed in the foreground. Need to do some cleanup of that bank before we can, rip up some of the stuff, use my brush cutter. So all I need to do is make sure that you guys are okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What road was that? I'm sorry, I missed what road.
It's the parking lot of the town office.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm looking at you, but the sound.
It's sorry, that's okay.
Yes, that's it. That's all I wanted to make sure it's okay, because it's town property and I want to go in there with my brush cutter and clean it up a bit. And then if I can get some people to help me do the planting, I can pick up plants on Thursday, and Bob's your uncle, as they say.
The milkweed and your other proposal, that's not an invasive species either, right?
Milkweed is that
Yeah.
lovely native, and the red twig dogwood is also native to Vermont. You've seen it everywhere, you just maybe don't know it, but yeah, no, I wouldn't put anything.
Yep.
And we'll mark the little spots. The plants are still coming up, and we'll do that mechanically. So that's the end of that story. And then the other thing is, hopefully we're installing new goats. Shirley Benway has some goats that she is giving to us, so for the season. So we're going to install those hopefully this weekend. And then that I think is fine, because we're doing that. And I wanted to say one other thing about that. Yes, I would really like it. I know there's a lot going on in North Hyde Park, and I know I'm not privy to all of whatever's going on there, but maybe a site visit from somebody on the select board, 1 or 2 people, with Alex and me, and we just look at the situation there. Because right now we're doing quite a lot of work to keep the knotweed at bay, and particularly, I know if you've driven past it, a big pile of contaminated soil that we have to keep covered, and then we cut all the knotweed around it. And it's a holding pattern. It's not a long-term strategic approach to what we're doing there, and it's a lot of work. So I just wouldn't mind a little affirmation that it makes sense to be doing it sometime in the season, if somebody on the committee is interested in taking a look at it. Yeah, okay, that's my request. You can talk about it amongst yourselves, and I will leave you to your business.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. I kind of skipped ahead, Justin. Did you have any changes to the agenda? Or Alex, anything that we need to add or change?
We did receive the sheriff's contract for 25-26. Doesn't have to be signed until July 1st.
Okay,
I was
yeah, let's
wondering-
wait then we can warn it.
We have our conversation next week.
True. Yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we can put that on for the next meeting. Okay.
And I have nothing.
You have nothing, Justin? Okay, thanks. Okay, Jen's finance memo was pretty simple. Just some updates. I don't know, does anyone have any thoughts or questions or Jen only joins the first meeting of the month, so if you do have some serious questions, you can just reach out to Jen, but it's a pretty
Lots of
basic update.
reimbursement flowing in at the moment.
Yes, which is
Great.
amazing. And I know you guys have done a ton of work to get that done, so much appreciated on all that. And is there warrants, excuse me, is there warrants there to
There are.
approve?
Can we
Okay.
hold off?
Can what?
Can you just hold off for a minute? I'll look it up.
Oh, absolutely. We can do them at the end of the meeting if you guys haven't looked at them. That's totally fine. Yep. Okay. So moving right along. And I just closed the agenda, so hang on. What's next? Okay, so our assessor interlocal, what you got for an update, Justin?
So we have the updated spreadsheet back, with the quote unquote worst case scenario, with Hyde Park and Johnson staying the same at 8, along with Berkshire at 4, St. George increasing to 8 hours, and Sheldon is split down the middle. Right now they're gonna be 6 hours through January, and then after January, they're gonna be 8 hours. So they put it in at 7.
Okay.
The hourly rate has been adjusted to reflect the cost of living as of January 2026 and a proposed certification increase once I get that certification. I believe that was of about 2.5%. The average was between 2% and 3.3%. So that's all reflective in there. I think the only thing missing in here may be the laptop. I'm not sure if Chaz, I know last time you mentioned Hyde Park getting a deal because we used a Hyde Park computer for this amount of time. I haven't followed up on that. I don't know if you were actually want to follow up with that, or yeah, I wasn't sure if that was a joke or not. So
Well, I mean, that's my way of putting it out there, but I mean, I think it's fair to say, but I'm happy to reach out if you're not comfortable doing that, Justin, because I feel like that maybe is something that I should do, not you.
yes, please.
So would that be through Duncan? Is that who?
I would.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
I can do that.
And then yeah, other than that, I don't plan on having health insurance changes, so it should be a lot lower than this.
Okay.
The thing that I do plan on changing is adding my wife to the dental, but that's a minimal increase compared to actual health insurance, and it would still be well below the worst case scenario.
Okay.
So, starting in June, we'll have the rotation of the updated interlocal agreement for towns to sign, and I'll see you then. Unless you have any questions for me between now and then,
Okay.
or right now.
Okay. Thank you, Justin.
Mhm.
The dog warrant, the annual dog warrant. Do we have that there, guys?
We do.
Okay.
Did you guys all look at it?
Mhm.
You might recognize one of the names on the list.
Hey, be quiet. Timmy has an appointment on Thursday.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say it was you.
Krista emailed me. She's like, "Does your dog have an appointment?" I said, "Yes, on Thursday."
No, agendas. Yeah.
I feel like such a criminal,
uh,
but they knew, so.
yeah. Guess we got the last one that is.
Do we have to make a motion on? I forget what we do with the dog warrant every year. We just approve what they've done and what we've collected? Is that what she wants? Do we know? Anybody know?
The recommendation, I saw it in Kim's email. I put it in.
Okay, no, let me look. I hate not being there. Okay, so let me look.
Do you want me to tell you what I wrote?
Yeah,
Okay, so to be presented by Kim Moulton, sounds like it's previous business. I'm putting in at town clerk's office. Possible recommended motion to approve the annual dog warrant for submission to the ACO, Animal Control Officer.
okay.
So I make. the
That's
motion-
right. We give her the list of the bad folks like me. Okay. Sorry, Nicole, are you making a motion? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're moving right along. So I make the motion that we approve the annual dog warrant for submission to the ACO.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. Okay. Perfect. 10 Ben's construction consumption permit motion amendment. Did we not do it right, Justin?
No, there's a whole nother,
I think they're amending their permit.
yeah, they're.
Got it.
On that one, per Kim and looking at the,
Oh, the name.
yeah,
The name.
at the last meeting, we approved the liquor license, but this isn't a liquor license. This is a outside
Outside
consumption.
consumption. Yep.
So we're asked to amend the motion
Okay.
to approve the outside consumption permit.
Okay. And with that name, Scarletta Powell Ventures.
I was confused about that one and no one said anything because of the owner name and the licensee, and Kim didn't say anything about the 10 Benz,
Okay.
but we can acknowledge that name in the motion if that's.
I think we should. I think we should acknowledge both, and then we're covered, and we don't have to do it again. So yeah. So can someone, would someone like to make the motion for that?
Make a motion to amend the 10 Bend beer liquor license to include the outdoor consumption.
I'll second that.
And we're going to include the business entity name of Scarletta Powell Ventures. Okay, do I have a second?
I second it.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I can't hear great. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained. Perfect.
And if you go to the packet, there's recommended motions for that and for this next one for the board
Okay.
clerk meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to amend the meeting minutes to. Back with. The liquor license. We just approved. That's what you're looking for, right, Justin?
Yeah,
No. Right?
motion to approve the May 13th, 2025 select board meeting minutes with the 10 Ben
Amendment.
beer motion amendment. Yep.
Okay.
I'll
Do I have
second
a
that.
second?
Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I did.
Oh, sorry. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained. Great. Oh, your newsletter. It's
Yep.
getting bigger and bigger, I feel like.
It is. Lots of nice submissions there. I
Yeah.
highlighted some in this submission that have been there for a while. Like we have one from the village that hasn't been updated, so I've taken out irrelevant information, but things that I think still might be relevant, I've left in there.
Yep.
But just asking for people to go through and, you know, if they have any ideas to add something or take something away, that'd be excellent. I'll reach out to, yeah.
What if I'm just wondering if we should put something in under the fire department thing about how they get burn permits. It's that time of year.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
I'm surprised Ryan didn't tell you that. Probably because he's down here.
So, I mean, I don't know how, I mean, I just would assume that you'd call Ryan, but I don't know. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't,
they do. He usually puts that in, it's usually in the newsletter because he did it last year.
yeah, I just think it's that time of year, so I think it's a good idea to remind people how to do that.
Absolutely.
Maybe do the fireworks as well.
Yes, good idea.
Yep.
I
The
saw
state
some
of
complaints
Vermont
about that this
Division of
weekend on
Fire Safety
Facebook, so.
taking over the burn permit process.
Oh,
Towns have the option to enroll. It's going to be all online. And then
oh,
they shut down the permits based on the fire hazard level.
Oh.
So that's something I haven't chatted with Ryan about. But I
oh, so
will,
Ryan won't be
just to see if that's,
anymore.
we have the option to maintain the local control, but they're trying to push to have the Division of Fire Safety.
It makes
oversee
sense.
everything. So I'll chat with them about that.
Well, once you have that information, I think that should be added to the newsletter because
Absolutely.
it will be a change.
Sure will.
And for now, I'll just add like contact Ryan Nolan regarding burn permits
Mhm.
until we have like the full information.
Yeah. And I see you have the E911 signs highlighted. Is that because you're wondering if it should still be on there?
Yeah, and
It
if we,
should be, because
Yeah.
I was with Ryan at a dinner and a Hyde Park resident walked up to him and said they needed a new sign.
okay. So, do we have a deadline, or is it like because it said spring of 2025?
I don't
So-
think they're not all done yet, so
Okay.
like we haven't finished the town yet.
So we'll just leave it out there until like I don't know. I think it'd be kind of nice to do like a blast or like when we get close to we're not accepting anymore to make sure people that have been putting it off know that they can't put it off any longer, type of thing. Because or is it gonna be an ongoing?
Well,
Like-
so that the town hasn't finished what we said we were gonna do for the whole entire town. Like, we're not quite done the project yet. And the reason someone reached out to Ryan is because their address changed based on something that Steven found apparently.
Hmm.
And it was placed in the wrong spot, the one that was put up or something like that. I don't really remember the details, but anyway. So people are still missing signs because we haven't finished the project. And I don't know when, like, Ryan's goal is to have it done. I think we have all the signs on hand. The problem is that it's done by, like, Robert did it last year, the kind of, he needs volunteers to do it. So finding people that want to do it and, take up their entire weekends to do it has been the problem, I think. But we can get some more details from him on that. If he has a goal. I would assume he'd probably like it to be done this summer, but I don't know for sure.
So I'll follow up with Ryan.
I'll bother him when they get back. Okay, zoning administrator.
Is Steve in the waiting room?
Oh, right, he was gonna join tonight. That's right.
Nope. GMATV, Chas and me.
Okay.
Chas and I.
Maybe we can skip over that one.
Okay, okay. You're up, Alex.
So the FEMA flood buyout property, we had Watershed Consulting go there on Friday. We took a nice walk through the property. I got stuck. There's about 2 feet of quicksand on the property at the moment. Had to get yanked out of it. It was a great time. Anyways, they were there to do kind of a cursory level review to make sure that we could go ahead and do those ditches from the springs down to the Guyan River. So in your packets that I gave you, you'll see the letter that they produced. This clears the highway department to go down there. There are no permits we need. so we can mitigate those issues. The larger issue is that that property has been filled with sand and there's no gravel underneath it. So it has just turned into quicksand. Mitigating the springs will certainly help. But we need to meet with All Metals, our highway department, and likely the water district up there to figure out how we're going to mitigate this. Are we going to go in and remove the sand with our equipment, replace it with stone and fill? Is All Metals going to help? Right now, we have more questions than answers. The deadline is June 15th to schedule the final FEMA inspection. That's already been bumped back from May 15th. It's not going to be moved again. So we're in crunch time.
And this is so we can get paid, guys, just so you
Right.
know.
It's within, is it within the foundation area that the quicksand is?
No.
Yes. But
Oh,
it's
it is?
also from there all the way up to the road.
So it's just super saturated?
And it's also just sand. It's not
Because they didn't put the right material
not
on.
topsoil fill. There's no rocks underneath it. They
So
just
this was
2 feet of
from
sand.
our contractor, All Metals. That,
No, we don't know,
oh, we don't know?
right? It's,
Okay.
yeah,
We have a topsoil stockpile at our pit. It's something we could just bring in 4 inches of topsoil and cover.
I think we'll have to remove material and then replace. Otherwise, we're just gonna have quicksand underneath that topsoil.
did Randy get back to you, Alex? I didn't see an email, but I didn't know if he didn't CC me.
I reached out via email last week. No
Right.
response to that. I called this morning at 9, left a message, have not received a call back.
Okay,
Maybe if you can reach
Yep.
out.
yep, I'm going to.
You don't think just because it's super saturated, like with the weather, it'll dry out the next couple days?
I mean, it could. I think that any heavy rainfall, we're just gonna be right back to where we started. And I'm not sure how much grass is gonna grow. It's supposed to be a green space to pass the FEMA inspection. So in the scope of work, it was very clear that we were supposed to lay down stone and then on top of that, use topsoil and fill, not sand. So where the wires got crossed when that work was done last year, I'm not sure. A lot of things we have to figure out. Larry made a good push next door, getting rid of a lot of his stuff. There's still a lot to go. I talked with him again this afternoon. I gave him a deadline of next week to have that stuff pulled out. So then we can go in, finish the work that we need to do, schedule the final inspection, and hopefully be reimbursed for this. Dave did present some legal options for forcing removal of that personal property. None of them are great. I think we talked about that last meeting. So fingers crossed that he goes in there on his own and removes that. I think that's all I have for the flood buyout property, unless you guys have any questions.
So you have all, I'm sorry, I'm looking at your update you just texted me. So do you just want to go down through them, Alex?
They're in line with the agenda items.
Oh, perfect. I'm looking at that now. I see that they are. Okay, perfect.
I think
So,
our next thing is the kennels.
yep, the kennels, you wanna,
Yeah, so I'm gonna pass around. I didn't print everyone a copy because there are many pieces of paper. But here are some emails with the kennels. So we talked about at the last meeting, they were hoping that we would find a contractor to replace a door. In lieu of that, they wanted a $2,000 security deposit to replace that door. Finance wasn't comfortable with that kind of transaction. So I reached out and attempted to schedule Jason, the kennel owner, to come to a meeting and talk about everything that's happened over the last few months. Originally, the contract was supposed to be a 1-year contract, transitioning to a longer term contract. They're not interested in that anymore. Originally, we were supposed to find a contractor to replace the door. They went ahead and found one and just said, hey, the lease is going to be $32,000. So despite my best efforts to kind of get this conversation back on track, communication's been a one-way street with them dictating the terms. And I'm afraid that if it continues down this road, this contract is going to get more expensive and less flexible. And it comes at a time when we're bringing in other municipalities, which is amazing. I'm just not confident that this is moving forward in a great direction. Savannah, did you have anything? We chatted for a while.
He tried to get them to come to the meeting. I had some questions. One of my questions is like, if you drive by, the sign is broken and falling down. We bought the sign to put up there, but as part of the lease, I think that the sign should be fixed. One of their trees fell on it. We're paying to have that put up, so it's kind of hung sideways. It's been since last fall, so I think that should be fixed. If we're gonna follow all the rules, I think we should follow all the rules, so.
He also did mention that his primary POC with the town is Ally, and that he filters all the information through her. I think when it comes to contractual stuff, it's a reasonable ask to say, hey, come sit with the select board for 15 minutes once a year. Guess they've already had a few of those conversations with the board this year.
I think that's, I mean, other people do that. The highway has to come and present,
Sure.
everybody has to come and.
Yeah, absolutely, especially for contract stuff. Ally's the ACO, but she doesn't have the, the right sounds like a rude term, but she doesn't have the ability to make, contractual decisions.
think
So I think it's a complete fair ask to ask them to come in and talk to us.
I think she was kind of our lead when we were in between, but her and I kind of partnered together to be like.
Correct. Yeah,
State Alex should handle most things to
Right.
do with the kennel.
I'm just concerned that you guys signed an original contract for 25,000. It went up to 30,000 over the course of a year. Now it's kind of at 32 because we're just tossing in things like door replacements,
Right.
which, to be fair, was a part of the contract and the lease that wasn't taken care of up until now.
They never reached out to say, we
Right.
did everything that was asked, we missed the door. If you just called or sent us a message or told anybody,
Right.
exactly.
taking care of it, so
Absolutely.
I don't know that that's fair.
Yep.
So the contract right now technically expired, but they'd like to sign again July 1st and get onto our fiscal year cycle. I don't know if anyone wants to reach out and see if maybe they can get Jason to a meeting, have a meeting with a few select board members, off cycle. You guys want to look into other options for kenneling dogs?
Oh, man, I don't know if took us forever to find that one.
Yeah, but I don't think we can keep, I mean. We have to have some say in it, so if,
Yeah, right.
This idea is working. Do we have to explore it in a different town? Do we have to explore it in a different, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I don't think. I think we're kind of. Maybe have to sign it this year because we're out of time. We're
Correct.
gonna run into that whole thing we ran into crunch time last year, like getting a spot and putting in heat, putting in air conditioning and dealing with water quickly.
Right.
What was their justification for a 20% increase on price? Or from the 25 to 30K?
That was before me. I'm not sure.
They just did it.
Yeah.
We didn't give any justification.
It really wasn't, I think it was. We were gonna charge you this and then. When we went to sign, it was maybe it's gonna cost us more. I don't know if they thought. That was too low when they originally kind of quoted us that price.
There was some miscommunication and things that happened. I think we were in between town administrators. There was like a lot of things that were in play at that time, unfortunately.
And then
And that's something that I've communicated with Jason over and over again. I understand that you've had, a bad experience in the past. We're committed to making sure that this contract is a partnership. It's
Right.
not feeling like a partnership. It's feeling like we're waiting until the 11th hour. One side is dictating all of the terms and we just have to write the checks. And
Yeah,
I don't think that that's a good way to maintain a partnership.
I
It's a
agree.
great concept, like.
It
if
is.
We
Oh,
do it, or
100%.
we, Ally or us, or I don't know who's gotta be getting, like, let the dogs out or what we've gotta do, so the concept is. Perfect.
It is. I
You're-
agree. And a lot of work and research went into that, to making that.
as far as negotiating, goes, like, are we their only like business partners? Do they currently have dogs that are not due to like animal control or anything from the community?
They are starting to shelter dogs again, and board them for folks.
And they do dog daycare
Right.
for a
But
couple dogs.
we are a big portion.
Right,
of
because
their
like if we're like, okay, like we, for instance, can't afford this, like then that's a huge loss of $32,000 on their part, and then a huge issue for us. So like,
And that's just the lease portion. They also get $50 or $25 a day for boarding the dog. Additional costs if it requires treatment for things like fleas and that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Go ahead, Justin.
If I may add, I think I don't recall them coming to a select board meeting. Like, I don't know if I've ever met them.
No, I haven't.
Been
Yeah,
to
they
all-
came once, way back when we even introduced this idea, when they said they would potentially open it up for us again. They did come once.
Okay.
Betsy.
Well, that's good. So I was just thinking, like, with how much discussion and involvement there is with this, and to have the little communication that I feel like we've had with them, like, it could be a pretty big disconnect, especially not knowing. It sounded like they dealt directly with Brent and Steven, who are two very different personalities, and Allie, who's another very different personality, but not with the board direct. So, like, with going through all that, I could see where a business may get defensive and say, you know, we need to set these boundaries. Like, if you're gonna jerk us around or whatever, here's what we're doing. So I would, yeah. So hopefully the meeting with the select board would be positive and get all the unknowns known.
Yeah. So we have to sign the current contract that starts July 1, right?
Correct.
We don't have a spot, so, and we've got all these towns involved, so. I almost feel like we do, but
Yeah, I agree. I think we do. And we have contracts with how many towns now? 4, right?
5.
Oh, we're up to 5. That's right.
We just
Okay.
brought Stowe in.
That's right. Stowe. Okay.
And we sent out a letter asking them to take on some of the additional, right?
Yes.
We requested them to be 6.
Yeah, and they signed to return that contract.
Cool.
And I'm meeting with Morristown tomorrow.
It's a lot less scary signing the contract right now than it was a couple I mean, I was probably the biggest opponent of this.
I agree, Matt. We went in not having any towns.
I just don't want next May to be like, okay, now it's 40, 45, that what we can't.
I
Well,
say we start.
We had nobody sign on to this and we signed
Yeah.
on at 30.
Exactly.
So-
Exactly.
Well, we don't wanna go back there.
No, we don't.
We do have the whole month of June to work this.
Yeah.
I'd love to see at minimum a 2-year contract.
Yeah.
We lock in that $30,000 for 2
Yeah.
years.
I agree.
You know, they're concerned about inflation and tariffs and all of those things. That's fine, but so are we. You know, we
What
can't
does that
have,
have to do with a kennel?
right.
yeah, that
I'm
doesn't
not sure.
make sense for like
That was the
the
justification.
individual dog cost, totally, food, all that stuff, jazz. But like, do they own the building or are they renting themselves? Are we just paying their increase in rent?
No, they own it. I'm pretty
I
sure.
believe they own it.
Because if they own it, then yeah, like tariffs should not affect their lease.
No.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the contract already saw a $5,000 jump.
Right.
I don't want to see it again in this short of a period of time.
Yeah.
So I can continue to communicate with them, and maybe if you'd like to reach out to.
And I would
Yeah,
love for
you-
them to maybe come to a meeting, you know, in June if they can, just to so we can introduce ourselves. Savannah, I mean, I know you know them.
I was on an email with Alex and they really don't have any interest in coming to a meeting.
Really?
I can forward you all those email chains. There's more than what the board's looked at tonight.
Okay.
Going back and forth for just about 3 months. This is one of the first projects I started.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Things were going well
That's too
until the end.
bad. Okay. Well, okay, so do we want to hold off or do we just want to agree to sign it tonight? And I can sign it when I get back? Or
I
Savannah
didn't
can
even print
sign
it off because we
Oh,
do-
okay. Okay.
hoping that we can communicate with them a little more and sign a 2-year contract.
Perfect. Okay, sounds good to me. Okay. So are we good to move on?
Yeah.
The local hazard mitigation plan. I know you filled me in, Alex, so.
Yeah, so the village was supposed to meet with LCPC on the 6th. That meeting's been canceled and rescheduled to the 17th. Mark from LCPC, who came and presented to us, is very concerned about the timeline.
I am too.
You know, we laid
Me
it out from
too.
the start.
I went through this and this is like. I mean, we have to edit some things,
Right.
but. Not
Well,
we're starting from scratch.
There's community engagement. A lot of the material in there was, you know, part of last plan's
Yeah.
adoption and then feedback and goals. And now we need to assess, did the town and the village complete those goals and benchmarks that they were looking to complete?
The problem is the village, because we need to include well, not the problem is.
No, I thought we said
That
we
didn't
did-
sound right, but
I thought-
they have to be included.
Mark was
And-
researching whether or not they need.
Yeah, I thought that he said that like we had to open it up, but if push came to shove and we ran out of time, we could go ahead with it without them.
He was we don't know that for
No,
for
he's looking
fact.
into it.
Right. So I did get Brian to commit to June 24th as our first joint meeting. That's at our select board meeting. I'd suggest that we start that meeting at 5 p.m.
Okay,
which would potentially give us an hour to work through this with the village in LCPC, and you know, still be starting the regular meeting just a half an hour late.
would
that
the
meeting,
would
go
the
ahead.
village trustees come to that as well?
They would.
Okay,
yes.
perfect.
And then at that meeting, we can hopefully establish at least 3 or 4 other meetings that will be joint in some fashion, whether it's the planning commissions, the select board, the trustees. We just need the engagement from all the different stakeholder groups.
Okay.
So our short timeline just got a little shorter, but at least we have one meeting that's joint scheduled in the near
Great.
future.
Okay.
That's
So
enough. I love
can
it.
we agree to have a 5 o'clock meeting on the 24th? Is
Yeah.
everybody good with that? Okay. Even if everybody can't be there right at 5, but
I'm
at some point.
not here that day.
And there's not necessarily motions
Right.
on this meeting. It's just essentially a planning session, like our
Sure.
budget meetings. So
Yeah.
even if just a couple folks from the town, a couple folks from the village can make the meeting, that's beneficial.
Okay. And should we, when we do the agenda, should Justin include Brian and the village trustees? So they're aware, or how is?
They will be aware, they've agreed to the meeting. So
Okay.
if they have a quorum, they're gonna have to warn that themselves.
Perfect. Okay, that's what I wasn't sure about. Okay.
And I'm meeting with Brian tomorrow to begin reviewing the plan ahead of that meeting.
Okay, great. Okay. Cool. Okay, fence viewing request.
So everyone should have a copy of the letter that'll be going out to 104 and 140 Eden Street. Dave has reviewed this, provided recommendations. What I would need tonight is the 4 fence viewers that were there to sign the copy that's going to go out to the residents.
Did we ever look at the site map for the pond?
We do have a survey that shows the pond.
Well, no, like that it was filled. Like, do we need to? Because that's not addressed in this email at all.
Because this is specific to
This
fence
is
viewing.
just the fence.
Yeah. This has a very narrow scope.
Do we need to make a motion to sign this or just sign this?
There is no motion since you were operating in the capacity of the fence viewers. I have the original copy.
I'll bring a pen. Got a pen, I'll throw it back to you.
The copy I have has edits. can you send me the new one? When you get
Sure.
a second, I don't need it
Yeah,
right, because I
absolutely.
wasn't there, so I mean,
So you just have Dave's red line version?
I do.
Okay, yep. Well, we're still on the agenda item. Did you have anything?
No, I just wanted to kind of observe and see, I didn't plan on saying anything.
Okay.
You guys have questions for me. You guys have a lot on your agenda, so. Enjoy watching this,
Nice.
and not being part of it. I've been on many boards before, I know where you guys.
Oh, is that Brickett? Is that who's there? Oh, okay, I didn't, oh, now I see your face, okay. Okay, are we good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, because I couldn't hear Brickett, okay. Where am I? Storm damage to Lamoille Valley Rail Trail.
Apparently that got hit pretty hard by the rain and hailstorm that we had last week.
Okay,
So I took a call from Jackie with the rail trail. This is just a preliminary request to stage materials. It impacted a large section of the trail between here and Morrisville. And they'd like to use our trailhead because it's closest to the damage to stage. I don't know if it's gonna be rocks, sand,
Who's Jackie?
materials. What's Jackie's last name?
Trains?
Yes. Yeah.
Are they self-performing work or are they putting the work out?
That I don't know. This was just a quick disaster phone call. Hey, run this by your select board, see if it's an option. I'll have more details to follow.
Because they're doing the
Senator Sanders walk.
Oh,
is coming in June.
yeah, and that got pushed back from last year because of damage, right?
Right, yeah.
yes.
Gonna have to choose a different time of year for that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't that supposed to happen last year and yet it all got washed out?
Yeah, but it was actually at a different time last year. It was in July, I think.
So it's nothing the board has to say yes to tonight. She was just
Okay.
a pre-notification to us that they do need to do some work. They're hoping to use our trailhead. And when she has more information, she'll disseminate that to me. I'll loop you back to you guys. I'm not quite sure. Are we staging equipment? Are we staging material? How long is it going to be there? Is the trailhead going to be shut down? I'm not sure. I don't have those answers right now.
Okay. So our local emergency management plan.
This took a while longer than I think any of us expected it to take that day.
That was a long meeting.
It was a long meeting.
So we did meet with our regional coordinator, Michaela Foodie. There's a pretty good group of us. The town and village were represented, both the fire departments, the highway department. We went step by step through the plan, identified some formatting updates that VEM put out. We updated all of the contact information, all the apparatus that we have. Nicole did note that her cell phone is missing from the contact section in the back.
Which I thought was weird because you asked me for it and I
I
gave
did,
it.
yeah, and I have the email response from you too. I did add some maps all the way in the back. For the sake of not printing a million pages in color tonight, I only included the emergency services maps. I'm also going to include the floodplain maps and the infrastructure for electric and water departments. So we'll have a really good annex in the back. And then also Jen's approved vendor list. One of the pieces of this plan is highlighting vendors that we have standing contracts with in the case of an emergency. That we know we have accounts with, they're approved vendors through the town. Jen has this wonderful, 6-page, 300 deep approved vendor list. So we're just going to put that in the back as an annex, has all the contact information as well. So that's a plus. Michaela was really excited that we had something like that in place.
Wait a minute, I'm also noticing too that,
The email addresses don't.
yeah, and you still have Susan on here, like, yeah, you might want to look at the contact information on the back for select board members.
I'm wondering if I printed off the correct one then.
Everything else yeah, it's a little bit weird there.
I think everybody's email address is up one.
Oh, they're not even close actually.
Yeah,
So if you notice the margins on the right are kind of funky too. When Michaela sent this over that she had edited, it didn't cross over into our system well. So I think that they may use a different form of Excel.
Oh,
So I will star this page. That matches.
He's doing the edits over on your copy over there.
I am, yeah.
So EAN.
VAN. Does anybody have any other edits or questions about the plan itself?
No, I think just, yeah, just fixing those emails and phone numbers. I think other than that, yeah, we'll talk after, but yeah, that's it.
Nicole, did you want to do a motion on this tonight, or do you want to catch it at the first meeting in June?
I don't know. Do people feel okay approving it with the edits to as long as the edits are made to correct the email addresses, or do we want to wait to see that change at the next meeting?
Can we wait just because I haven't looked at it
Yeah,
and I'll pick a copy up?
Perfect.
Is it okay to wait? Is
yeah,
it-
as long as we have it in by July 1st.
Okay, perfect.
We have time.
Okay, we can do it.
We're
at the
actually
next-
ahead of schedule. That's
Okay, great. Okay. Cool.
Where's 785 from?
Kansas. Oh.
Is anyone gonna say it?
What?
We're not in Kansas anymore.
It's been a good 6 states since then.
Okay, is that all you have for us tonight, Alex?
That is, I have one quick thing. I did find a bicycle and pedestrian program grant through V-Trans. It has an 80-20 federal match. So feds give us 80, we do the 20 match. We do have a sidewalk fund that currently has some money coming out of it through fiscal year 2030. So me and Jen are reviewing that. I think this might be a good candidate for the North Hyde Park scoping study that we're doing. Unfortunately, the deadline to apply is July 11th. It just rolled out last week. I'm not sure where the scoping study is going to be because we really want to use this for design and construction. We don't want to use it for the scoping study that's already underway. So I communicated with the program manager to see how far along we need to be in that scoping study in order to apply for the design and construction funds. That has to get circled back to the Du Bois and Kings group just to make sure that these two are going to match. So I'll bring this back at the next meeting, hopefully with some concrete answers, but there's a potential that we could have access to $1.5 million of funds with a local match. So
That'd be cool.
fingers crossed.
And speaking of grants, did you see the email I sent this afternoon?
Yes, I had a chance to look through it. It looks like $10,000
Yeah.
could apply for fire funds.
Is that I'm looking at that too. I got it earlier today too.
Okay.
The FEMA one that came through about which one are you, the one that the Capital Strategic Solutions one?
No, Richard Bailey sent it to me.
Okay,
It's from the state.
okay. I'll see if it's the same one that I'm looking at right now.
You just sent that through. Let's see here.
There's one that
Have
we
you
don't.
already had time to research it? I sent it to you at like 3 o'clock.
I just clicked on the link and skimmed it.
Oh, it's like good for you. Well, it
Because-
just made the amount 10,000 is like what we pulled from Ryan's budget from the fire department. And I was
Okay.
like, oh, perfect. We can
Way to give it back.
give it back
Just
and you can
looking
get the
at
equipment in
radios
one.
right now. So that might be a great way to spend that money. And
Yeah.
that is one of the things that you can apply for with this grant. The other one that's open is the Safer grant. Have you guys heard of
Yeah,
that?
that's the one that I'm looking at too, but that one is that's the one that's to attain 24-hour staffing.
There is a sub.
Oh, and provide adequate fire protection.
Yeah, and then there's a caveat to that. You can also use it for recruitment and retention, which is
Oh,
where the smaller departments who have no plans
Yeah.
of going career utilize the funds.
In that same email, but then there's also the FP and S program one.
Mhm.
There's two within that same email. That's the one I got this morning I was looking at. So there was two options that just opened for fire grants.
in the past, smaller volunteer fire departments that don't plan on paying folks, they use the recruitment and retention funds to put on courses or get, the electronic signs to put out front of their fire department that says help wanted, and, the schedule of CPR classes and outreach, things like that. So I'm going to talk with Ryan, see if it's something that he wants to apply for. I think that's all I have, Chastity.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I didn't do my homework. I'm gonna admit it. Goals and projects, and thoughts. Did anyone do homework unlike myself?
No.
No, and Lance wasn't at the meeting, so he didn't know he had homework.
I mean, I did the training for VT alerts, but that wasn't really on this list as homework. It was only.
I just think that the town meeting committee needs to like get going if we're gonna, I mean, we're not quite halfway, but
Yeah,
we're
It'll be here before we know it, Savannah.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
right here, so if people wanna change spots and change the flow of it.
Yep. And I cannot remember that nice lady that came to the meeting, so I'm gonna have to look back at the note at the meeting minutes.
Denise? I think it was Denise.
From the village, Brickett, you might know her name.
Green.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
And the energy
Denise
committee.
Green? Is that what he said?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know she was really, wanting to help head that up, so maybe we can put some time on an agenda, maybe not the next meeting, but the second one in June, so she has time to maybe plan and we can have maybe another discussion on it.
That one was Joanne Green.
Sorry, Joanne?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
no, I'm pretty sure it was Denise.
I thought it was, I'm pretty.
No,
I
I'm
know
pretty sure it was
Joanne.
Denise. Yeah.
Denise was here
I
too,
know.
but she's on the energy committee. Joanne Green specifically came in about the town meeting.
I think they were together. They were kind of together. I think there might have been two. Like they were talking about it, wanting to do help together. Oh, maybe I'm thinking, but Denise did sit here recently
Yeah.
with about something else, so maybe I'm getting,
She does the flower.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I can always watch the meeting and see. Okay.
And then my other thought was, is like, again, we're gonna come into winter here, oh, I can't believe it, but, last 4 roads, we're gonna be talking again, as soon as we start plowing, so. And then I know that's a long project, but
I think it is, but I think that we need. Alex, can you get with Mark and get that list like updated, and so we know the roads that we need to look at and talk about as a board?
Does he know what you guys are looking for already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and he knows the roads in question and controversy. I don't know if that's the word, but there's been talk for a few years now about these roads, so we really need to get on it. And I know, I can't even think of any of them right now. The one, Larish Road?
yes, because that's the one that Lucy came to talk
Lucy
about.
came in. I know that's a big one, but Mark will be able to reel them right off.
So we're just looking for a list of them?
Correct. And the ones that need attention and
Then that like plowing has been a heavy.
plowing, etc.
Just to access most of these,
Okay.
and then some of them are like single access driveways, essentially more than roads. They've
Mhm.
just been grandfathered over the years. And there was a heavy talk from some of the previous town administrators and suggestions as to what to do with them, so.
But then like Larish Road is kind of a weird one because it's technically not plowed by the town, but she came to us and wanted us to keep plowing it
No.
because
It's a class 4 road to a certain point.
Yeah.
We continue plowing beyond that. so-
they use it as a turnaround.
Okay.
There's all sorts of issues like that, Alex, like old, they were like handshakes done 40 years ago, and there's new owners and new thoughts, and so we just really need to dive in and make some decisions about the roads
Okay.
and who's responsible and who's not. And
Roads? Is that part of what was brought up?
Ron had heavily suggested that.
Oh.
When I first got on the board, he wanted to start knocking some of those off.
Even though we're under no obligation to maintain class 4 roads? Okay. I'll talk with Mark.
hence the issues.
Yeah.
Hence the decisions that might need to be made.
And then has Marcoux Road been done yet?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same thing.
No, I was gonna, Alex, did you talk to Mark about Marcoux Road?
No, I'm meeting with him tomorrow.
Okay,
That is on the list of things we're talking about.
okay.
A very busy day tomorrow. Lots of meetings.
I'm gonna reach out to Mark, but I'd like him to attend one meeting a month to give us an update. I feel like we don't ever see him anymore, and that way, if we have questions or something, we can have him. He used to attend the meetings and he doesn't come anymore. What do you guys think?
I think our company.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to come to both, but you know, maybe the second meeting of the month or something, he comes in and just tells us what they've been up to. Blah, blah, blah. We can have it at the beginning of the meeting so he doesn't have to sit around for the entire meeting, but
Yeah.
I mean, if he's in contact with Alex enough, I'm fine with, if Alex is fine with being that, those are through him, but if not, then he could be. I don't
no,
care.
I wanna.
We
have
talk
Mark
almost
come in.
daily. I did have a question about the North Hyde Park. The fire department land and building.
Oh, yeah.
That's been brought up a few times, but I don't have any background on that.
That's a scary one that we probably really should look into. Especially, and I only say this because the person that's gonna have the information we might need is gonna be my Uncle Marvin, and he's not getting any younger.
He got an email on that, an update recently.
Oh, good.
Yes, you remember that?
There's some weird stuff with like the build, it's something with water district one, like. Who owns the land and the building and all the weird stuff, and nobody seems to really know a whole lot about any of it. And what happened, it was very weird. I don't even remember the
There
whole
was
story.
in agreements that were left to the fire district
It
and
was donated.
And the fire district might
own, yeah,
disassemble, and then it's like what happens to the
building.
building and the land and.
So that's not town land.
No,
Roger Audette called
Yes.
this afternoon because he saw that down on the bottom of the agenda. I had to tell him, to be honest, I don't know what that bullet is
Yeah,
and what
You
the
know who
background
he
is.
right?
he will be a good one to get the background. Did he have?
We didn't
He
discuss.
should know a lot of the background, actually. He would be a good resource.
That water district is also built up of a committee essentially in their aging committee.
yes, and that was part of it, was that if the water district ever decides to dismantle, what happens to the fire department and the land? And that's kind of what we were thinking, is like, oh, well, maybe we need, us and Eden need to start thinking about that kind of together, because nobody really realized that that was an issue.
Okay.
It's also coming from a high cost to fix
Correct,
the reservoir,
yes.
and which is the reason why they talked about resolving. That lands on the town responsibility, so.
And Stephen never joined, right?
Did not.
Okay. Is that permit something that we need to approve sooner than later? Do you know, Alex?
I mean, the work's already been done.
Okay.
There is a driveway. It sounded like you maybe had talked to Stephen after you and I talked about this.
Oh. Well, we didn't. He just told me that.
Oh, okay.
Like there wasn't any decisions made. Like I didn't make any decisions for him. Did he say
Is
that?
everyone up to speed on what this is?
Uh-uh.
The 1111 permit and then a permit for a shed. I don't have the address in front of me.
Is this the building that built something they were doing some tree clearing and
I guess they applied for an 1111 permit last year.
didn't get returned?
It never was returned. We never cashed the check. We also never notified them that it was denied, de facto denied. They went up and looked at it and said there's not enough line of sight here. But the homeowner was never notified. So he went in and installed said driveway, then had a shed on the property that he's made some upgrades to. Chastity, how far into this do you want me to go, or do you think we should move into executive session?
Yeah, I'm thinking this is an executive session conversation.
Okay.
Okay, so I have to recognize the need for executive session, right, Justin?
Brick it. Yeah.
I gotta make sure I follow all the rules.
Yes, thank you. And is this the last thing we're planning on doing before the end of the meeting? Or do we have any other things?
Oh, actually, yeah,
We need
that's
to
true.
approve the warrant still, because we never came back to that.
Yeah, the warrants, and then I have so it sounds like the list of priorities for upcoming, like in the next couple months, well, next month. North Hyde Park, land and building, class 4 roads list, town meeting committee, and Markrew Road.
Correct.
Town meeting committee is on the June 24th agenda. Do you want to have a placeholder on the first meeting or second meeting of June for roads and for North Hyde Park?
North Hyde Park is gonna be a bigger deal. That's gonna need some research, so definitely not the first meeting. Class 4 roads, I think, Alex, you could probably talk with Mark about that tomorrow and get the gist of where, at least get started on that project. So we could probably discuss that at the first meeting. You know, start a process on that, or conversations on that. More detailed with actual roads.
I know, I was gonna say, this list has been here for weeks.
be a long list. Justin, we skipped over the previous meeting additions with action items.
Yeah, we're gonna do that next before
Okay,
we go
sorry.
to executive session.
And yeah, I was wondering, are we moving into executive session now or?
No, we can do them, we'll do your motions
Okay.
from the last meeting, and then we don't have to worry about, you know. So if someone could recap the motions, is that what you need them to be?
Yeah, just basically state it for the record.
Okay,
I can do that if you like, or you can.
no, go for it.
Okay. Recap of the action taken at the previous select board meeting. Motion made by Savannah Droney to contract with Evergreen Septic to pump the septic at the Hyde Park Municipal Building, seconded by Nicole Chauvin. All in favor, 0 against, motion passed. Motion made by Savannah Droney to approve $15 per training session for Town of Hyde Park Fire Department members from July 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025, seconded by Nicole Chauvin. Voting all in favor, 0 against, motion passed. And motion by Savannah Droney to approve the quote from Four Seasons in the amount of $8,411 for the mini splits for the library, seconded by Nicole Chauvin. Voting all in favor, 0 against, and motion passed.
Can I just, that was only for one mini split, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just wondering if it should just say mini split instead of plural S, just to clear things up. Cause they're only doing one right now. They want to get through the summer. Cause it's hot in the library. So, do one now.
Can I ask why do we have to say these again? Like, we've never done this. Did we do something wrong?
It's because they weren't on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
They were additions to the agenda.
I was
Yes.
just like.
I was wondering
Reread
that
them
too.
again, so I didn't know why we were talking about it.
I'm also
again.
wondering
Okay,
why.
that's okay.
Trying to be perfect with open meeting law, and they keep changing open meeting law, so it's hard to be perfect with it.
They do that on purpose.
The warrants before we go into executive session?
Yep.
Okay, so I move that we approve the warrants as presented and signed and all that good stuff.
In a second.
ADHD.
I'm ready to go home.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, both seconds that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm abstaining because I haven't looked at them.
I looked them online before I got here.
Okay, can I have a motion to recognize why we're going into executive session?
Oh. But I don't have the little cheat sheet on why I recognize that. Oh,
I
wait.
know.
Okay, I recognize, the need for executive session per 1 VSA 313, right? Is that what I need to say?
That's good.
Okay. Sorry, on the bottom.
Sure.
And I need a second for that, please.
No second.
Okay. All those in favor, do I need to
Sorry.
do that?
The one other, Steven's actually entering right now.
Oh, okay.
So you take back that motion for a second, table
Yep.
it.
We'll table that
He
motion.
needs to be in that one, I think.
Copy of the letter that I can send with Rick.
I'll be right outside. You guys go ahead.
It might take a while.
It's in the
Then my packet.
You want the letter off to go?
Thank you.
No, I'm just
Thank you, Brickett.
wanting to enjoy the sun for 5
Oh,
minutes.
okay.
Want to enjoy the sun for 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so should I say that
Exactly.
with Stephen and Alex?
Yeah.
Part of the executive session?
In a minute.
Correct.
There we go.
And
I
it
said
always
that.
says it even though.
Well, you gotta make a second motion. So we made the first one to.
Oh, okay.
Now we gotta make a second one to go into effect.
Okay, so now I make the motion, we go into executive session with Stephen and Alex and the board.
Perfect.
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
It's nice when you have to be word.
Okay.
So we're in a need
So-
It's so crazy.
It is, I make a motion to adjourn, 7:14.
Well, don't we have to mention that there's nothing that came out of executive session?
Oh, yeah, no motions.
Yeah, no motions out of executive session. Yep.
We have a second.
Oh, yeah, I'll second adjournment.
Perfect. Okay, bye guys. Have a great night.
Bye, enjoy the rest of your, a good flight home, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, you guys too.